This is Arthur Bueno and Tom Hills. We're talking at Tom Hill's house on the 11th 778, interviewer Wendy Lowenstein. Tell me, when did you start in Port Melbourne? When did you start in Port? When did you first come to Port Melbourne?
I never in Port.
When did you first come to work in Melbourne as a wharfie?
In 1923.
1923. What was it like then?
Shocking. It was the open pickup, but I mostly worked on the coal because my brothers was on the coal.
Yeah, was it sort of running the family sort of thing, did it?
Oh no, my brother came down here in 1918,
Mm-hmm.
and another brother came down about 1920, but he became a seaman.
You're a Sydney bloke, are you?
No, I'm a Melbourne fella.
Oh, I see.
When he says come down here, he means the water.
Oh, I see. I thought you would come down from Sydney.
No,
I see. What were the conditions prevailing, and what was the job like? I mean, in 23, was there plenty of work?
if you had a corner, what they called a corner, but if you was just relying, and I used to go down and I was a trolley boy on the coal. And in them days, it was tonnage rates. And the quicker they got the coal out, the more money they got. Now, the topmen and the diggers below were the fellas that was on tonnage rates. But if it was a good tonnage rate, I got equivalent to the good. Yeah, if the was digging was bad, well, you
was running the trolley.
Yeah.
And you got a base rate for running the trolley?
No, not a base rate. The coalies wasn't even on a base rate. They was on a tonnage rate.
How did they give you a percentage like on the cane gangs? They worked it up between
The
the
lot,
book and everything.
well, when it all panned out, I was the number one man, because if I slowed up on the trolley, the less tonnage they got out.
Yeah, I see.
You didn't have the basket back with the trolley to pick it all.
That's right.
See?
It wasn't right.
Oh yes, you used to run along a plank. Oh, it was about 8 inches wide, and you must have been what, 20 feet up in the air, Tom?
Oh, easy. Depend on the ship, didn't it?
On the ship.
If you were doing a bunkering job, you were more, wasn't
More, yeah.
How did you get up there? Ladder or something?
No, there was a ladder up to and the topman stood on the plank.
Yeah.
See, and you pushed a little four-wheel trolley, and it ran on rails, little rails about.
Little low trolley?
Yeah.
You were bending over, were you, all the time? You were sort of.
Yeah, well, it was a hard job. If it blew from the south, you'd get all the coal dust. But if it blew from the north, it was a hard job, because when it blew from the north, the wind would get beyond the ton of coal that was in the basket, and you'd have to put all your strength on it to hold it back from jumping over the chock at the end.
Running too fast.
Running too fast.
Yeah.
Now, when you had to push it back for the all day, you had to push the empty basket and the trolley against the wind. So no matter which way the wind blew, it was a hard job.
Where was the coaling? Where did you mostly, was there certain bunks and certain bunkers or certain?
No, it was called Siberia. It was down there from 15 south down, or a bit further down from 15 south, about 18 south.
On the river?
On the river.
On the south
That
side.
was where we were the other day, near the Johnson Street Bridge, there, near the swinging base.
Well, up from there.
Up from there.
Downriver from
Yeah,
there?
you know where he took us down to
Yeah.
the mouth of the river?
Yeah.
Well, it's practically opposite the mouth of the river.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Well, you would get a lot of wind there.
Oh, yes, because all these houses,
South, you see.
you'd get on the top of where you pushed the trolley, and you could see the ships what was in at Port Melbourne. There was no buildings around here in them days.
It's just all open vent.
But Port Melbourne has just sort of has become much more built up since.
Oh, yes. There was no factories or anything.
No, I see.
But you could, as I say, you could see from the ships there down to the Princess P and Station P.
How long were you on the coal?
From 1923 till about 24, 25.
I see. Was what's our friend Lou Albrecht on it?
Yes.
Oh,
Chris, he was on it. He was a topman.
We've got him taped.
Yeah.
Have you? Well,
I believe he was quite good.
he was one of the best topmen there was.
What was the skills a topman needed?
Well, he used to, when the basket was going down, he knew when to push it to land at the, instead of saving energy from the diggers below, he could almost land the basket where they wanted it. And when he, you know, like, and he worked like more of a, he had more of a system than anyone else. He never had a basket of coal up when the trolley wasn't there. A good top.
Good manager.
It wouldn't be holding the basket in position, waiting for the trolley.
Now that was that would be common, but that was, you know, if you didn't,
No.
you weren't really good, you could do it.
If he was good,
Yeah.
he just had that basket just hit the plank, hit the level of the plank when the trolley got there.
Yeah.
No holding it, you know.
Yeah, and then he could almost unhook the basket and hook it onto the empty one, and he'd swing it around and take it out of your way.
Yeah, I see. He was a certain, it was like being a blooming ballet dancer. You had to coordinate everything.
Oh, yeah, between the two of you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then there was other.
Tonnage depended on those two men up on top.
Yeah, because they couldn't load the baskets any quicker than you two could dispose of.
If they wasn't getting rid of it,
Yeah.
well, they couldn't.
They could hold it up. See, and the man on the donkey engine down. I'll tell you heaps of them.
Yeah, who's some of the ones you remember?
Oh, there was Indian Dick.
Yeah.
You remember Indian Dick?
What was funny about him?
Well, he was a fella that done a lot of thieving on the wharf, but he never implicated anyone else on his Indian Dick. And he used to do a lot of opium.
Was there much of that on the wall?
Well, Dick used to get it and sell it to the Chinaman.
Yeah.
And
Well, he'd buy it off the crew, would he?
yes, like
Yeah.
he'd get in and get it. And he had a furniture van, a little old furniture van, and a foreman from the United topped him off, told the police. And Dick was taking some up to Bendigo, and the coppers chased him in the car and blasted his furniture van with shots. But he didn't stop, he kept going. But when he come down, they grabbed him and he done 6 months. And I know that he sent word out that when he come out, that this foreman better not be about, because Dick would have. And the foreman's never been seen for that day to this. But Dick is dead now, and that's his two son-in-laws. Remember the two brothers? One had the whistle in the throat, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was their name?
Well,
These was his two son-in-laws.
They Wharfies too?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And there was who else was it? What was I forget names now, but there was a fella on the coal that he'd be late for work and he'd say everything backwards, or ask up, he'd say, I just come away and I left the wife wide open and the door in bed. He come from down this way, and they used to play a lot of two up there. And I was there the day, I wasn't working, but I was sitting in one of the sheds, and there was a steamroller come along, and they was playing two up. And there was a fellow with a red flag, what they used to have in the steamroller, and the bloke driving it. And when they got to the two up, they all jumped out, and the steamroller had about 8 or 9 coppers in it. You've heard of that, haven't you?
Yeah, that's out of the Cold Warfare.
Yeah.
Alfie Moore's game.
Yeah, that's right.
Alfie Moore's game.
Yeah.
Oh, what certain blokes used to run it, did they?
Yeah, oh yes. And, all incidents like that. And you'd see when you was out of shipping, one of the cycle or one of them ships be in, and you'd be full, and you'd see their wives coming down and kidding to the foreman to give their husbands jobs.
And when was that?
The foreman used to go home and sleep with some of them.
Yeah.
They'd give them night work and go home and sleep with some of their wives.
The competition was that keen.
Was that keen?
This was in the 20s.
Yes.
This wasn't the 30s even.
No, this was in the 20s. And, there were, you'd go there. Now, my average earnings on the coal for a year was about £110.
Just over £2 a week.
That was the average right through. Some weeks you get more, but you might go 3 weeks. And if you had if you worked for a gang of coalies that worked for the Adelaide or Howard Smiths or McElroy's or Uddard Parker, Patrick's,
Patterson's.
you'd have to keep to that, because if you went and got another job and they found out about it, the foreman wouldn't give you another job.
Oh, they like to have their own. Although it was casual, they like to have you regular on there.
Yeah. Well,
but you mightn't be earning full time on theirs, but they liked you to have you available when they wanted you.
Oh, yes. Whenever it was just like a plum on a tree. When they wanted you, went and picked you up.
Depended on what gang you was in, didn't it?
Yes.
If there was number 1 gang, you got a reasonable amount.
But
if you're number 2 gang,
you know, the number 1 gang got the biggest hatch.
Yeah, I see. Number 1 wasn't really a formal gang. You didn't have to pick up that gang, but it was just a habit. They always picked up those blokes in that gang.
They knew when the ship was coming in and all. They didn't come down to get picked up. They took their shovels. They used to have to supply their own shovels in them days, and they took their shovels down. And the great majority of coalies, like my brother, he had a horse and cart, little cart, and or everybody that lived out Carlton Way he picked up. And they all put their shovels in the cart, because there was great big shovels and scoops, a digger and a scoop.
You didn't have anywhere to leave them down on the wharf. You had to take them home every night.
Yeah, not every night, but when the job finished.
I see.
And then they used to have their own sweat rags and everything like that.
What about protective clothing? Any sort?
No, that was no.
What did you wear when you were working the car?
Just ordinary. You always, you had what they call the jeans now.
Dungarees, like capitals now.
Yeah, and the coalies just went down in their ordinary trousers, and they all wore flannels to absorb the sweat.
Flannel singlets, like little sleeves.
Yeah.
What was the name of the fella who used to be on the coal? Always had the paper under his arm and could never read nor write.
Gee, I'm a bugger on home.
I'm getting bad. He was a roarer in the union and all this roaring.
Yeah, See, when I went for me in 1925, I went to Sydney, and I stopped in Sydney for about till about 1932.
Oh, you were. When did you go? When did you leave Melbourne? 27, did you say, or
26 or
26 before the strike? So you were in Sydney when the strike was on.
But I came back here when the strike was on.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then I went back again.
Yeah, I see.
But and then I left Sydney and went to Perth.
We're still working on the waterfront for you?
No, I hung me button up in Sydney. Because there was no work in Sydney, and the open pickup was worse in Sydney than what it was here.
Yeah, Sydney didn't really go into the strike, would they? They went back, very early in the piece. Do you know Fremantle hung out longer than most other ports, Tom?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. See, and
strong.
That wasn't part of the Federation then?
No, he was out the Federation. Jim Healy bought the Federation.
Brought him back in.
Yes, well, they were hanging out, when Sydney'd gone back. I was surprised.
Oh, yes. But why I hung me button up, Les Mullins was the secretary there. His wife's still alive, but I hung it up because you wouldn't average 15 bob a week on the waterfront of Sydney.
Whereabouts in Sydney did you operate? Where did you?
At the Union Company in Sussex Street.
Was that the Hungry Mile?
Hungry Mile.
I wish to Christ I'd never bet you for my depression, but I couldn't find a bloody Sydney Wharfie who was on the Hungry Mile, however hard I tried.
Well, Tom Nelson and Healy worked there before.
Tom Nelson said
after he come down from.
Can't get near him.
Tom Nelson, you got to bloody well have an appointment 3 months in advance. He sent me to Dutchy Young.
For Tom?
Yeah. Oh, he's really surrounded.
You know whether his presentation when he finished in and went for that,
Oh, didn't he?
No. Dutchy Young was the representative.
Yeah, well, he sent me to Dutchy Young, and I got a real beaut. See, Dutchy Young was in, but he was at not Woolloomooloo, he was on the rocks, but he wasn't on Sussex Street. And apparently, you kept your own area very severely in Sydney. You know, if you went on, you were like to get bashed up. I mean, it wasn't just...
well, that's what they used to do. I've seen them there in Sydney, picking up in the Hungry Mile. He'd pick up all these plums. The foreman would pick up all these pink eyes, and then he'd have 10 or 12, or might have 15 tickets over, and he'd scramble them amongst the lot. And
they'd be like dogs.
Your mate had become your worst enemy. It was the survival of the fittest. You might get one on the ground and go to pick it up, and somebody'd stand on your foot. Now this is how bad it was, and I talk about Melbourne, but Melbourne was nothing to Sydney.
Is that getting out?
Yes.
No, Melbourne was nothing to Sydney.
No, nothing at all. Sydney was shocking. And they...
Yeah, but bloody, why did they go on strike? Were they badly led or what?
No, they was rightly led. The Melbourne people was badly led. Like I've always maintained this, if Jim Ely would have been secretary, there wouldn't have been a strike. And the fella that led them into the strike was a fella that was president, was Joe Goddard. He was the fella that worried them. And didn't he didn't have too many brains, Joe. He finished up dying down in his pub at McCann River, you know.
What did he own the Cairn River pub, did he?
Well, eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
After the strike was here, he went into the liquor trades.
That's right.
And he was barman at that pub on the corner of King Street and Lonsdale Street.
Yeah.
And he got in with Jimmy Cool. And he went down there, and he owned the pub down at Cairn River.
Just outside of Bairnsdale.
I know Cairn River very well. We go down there for most Christmas. Down to
you know the retreat hotel on the Cairn River? As you go out of Bairnsdale about 7 miles.
Oh, not the one at Cairn River Township.
No,
the one on the Cairn River itself.
On the Cairn
River.
River.
I know it, out of Bairnsdale. Oh, I thought you meant the one at Cairn River Township.
No.
It's on the left-hand side, just at the river there.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
his son is now secretary of the liquor trade, June.
Is his son?
Yeah,
is it?
Federal.
Young,
Federal secretary?
Oh.
No, state secretary.
State secretary.
He looks like getting bloody done.
Yes. Now look, well, this is very interesting to me because I'm going to work that.
Well, he was on the deep. See, it applied here. See, the stevedores used to do the deep sea.
Yeah.
And the Federation, the Melbourne branch, used to do the...
Yeah.
The Melbourne branch used to do the interstate.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't amalgamate until Ely got secretary, and he made them come all into the Melbourne branch.
See, well, they seem to be much more divided. Seems to have been much more bashing and standover and that sort of thing in Sydney.
Oh, there was.
And, you know, and foremen who were bash artists.
Yeah, that's right.
I wonder why this didn't happen in Melbourne. Do you think we're nicer in Melbourne?
Oh.
Well, similar in Melbourne. You didn't have the bashings and that in Melbourne that you had in Sydney. You know, I mean, foremen who were knocked down artists and that.
Well, they had...
yes, they were there, wasn't they?
Yes. They had a criminal element behind them. See,
and
it was a...
and all that.
Yeah, demands, but it was well known here in Melbourne.
Tell them about you with the giving out the Unity ticket cards.
Oh, you had more chance of getting into the Melbourne branch by from Pentridge than what you did from outside.
If you had a record.
If you had a record.
The first thing they used to ask you, the silly questions used to be asked at the union meeting. If you come up, you had to go and face the membership on the platform.
Like John Morrison said in that story.
Yeah.
That's
right. And the first thing was asked of you, was you ever a member of the police force? Would you be bloody mad to say you was, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's right.
That used to be one of the most stupid questions ever was asked.
Yeah. Or if you was a foreman.
Or if you was
I never asked you if you were a crook.
No. But if you said, oh, yes, I've just come out from doing 6 months in Pentridge, you was in.
When was this, Tom?
Oh.
Right through.
Well, it went on
Well,
for
for
years.
years.
It went on for years, see.
What, would the militants vote against it?
Oh, no, we wouldn't vote against
Like,
it,
it's
no.
a class question.
Yeah, well, I think the militants are more or less supported to a certain extent because there was quite a lot of that criminal element or so-called criminal element that done years in jail was those strong supporters of ours, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
It wasn't all opposed to it.
That was, Tom, that was proved by that film we saw the other night. Something like 70% of people in jail because they can't afford to pay fines.
Well, I'll give you an illustration. Now, there's a chap, Warrigal they called him. He worked with Jim Ely and Tom Nelson in the Hungry Mile for the Union Company.
Yeah.
Now, it was me that got Jim Ely's hook through this Charlie Horton, Warrigal. Now, Charlie was a great supporter of Ely's, great supporter. He'd do anything for Ely. And when Ely became the federal secretary, the first meeting he had was at Leichhardt. And his most bitter opponents in Sydney was the Barretts. Ivo Barrett and his brothers. Now,
they come from the Rocks.
The Rocks.
That's right, Datchy told me about
Right. Now, when the meeting opened at Leichhardt, this Charlie Horton Warrigal, he'd done a few years in Bogger Road in Queensland. And when the meeting opened, Charlie watched where the Barretts were sitting because there was a rumour going around that they was going to knock Ely off. Somebody was going to shoot him. Now, and it's just not funny. So Warrigal thought, well, where it's going to come from, the Barretts are going to give somebody the oil, see, because they was bitter on Ely. So Ely opened up the meeting and Charlie pulled a gun out of his pocket and he stuck it in the Barrett's backs. He said, one of you shoot Ely? And he said, I'll shoot the bloody 3 years. Now, when the meeting was over at Leichhardt Stadium, there was buses there. And Warrigal walked up and hit the youngest Barrett and he fell to the ground and Charlie kicked him under the wheel of the bus and said to the bus driver, yelled out, go on, go on. He was going to let him get it run over.
Run over him.
Yeah.
What year would this have been?
That'd be just before, when Ely became Secretary of the Federation.
In the Depression.
Yeah. No, 30.
36 or something.
Yeah,
30,
before the war.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's how bitter,
bitter.
like, and the criminal element was there too. And of course, some of the criminal elements supported Ely.
Well, look, in Melbourne, the Deans,
Yeah.
the not the Martins, Bruins, all them.
I've interviewed Barbara Bruin.
Have you?
Bruins, yes, she's
the Moaners,
The Moaners.
See, that wasn't very good supporters of theirs, so were they? Bert Moaner and them. You know when Bert Moaner come out of jail, well, you know that ferry I took you to, Wendy?
Yeah.
Well, a fellow named Walsh had the contract for him from Footscray, and he gave Bert Moaner a job. Now, when Bert Moaner come down, see the principle we worked on the ferries there, that's at the Spring Basin, they're pulling the ferry across the harbour. Principle we worked on, 50% of the takings was ours anyhow.
That's right.
We whacked it. Well, Bert Moaner, because Walsh had give him the only one that give him a job when he come out of jail, he wouldn't be in it, you see. He said, oh no, I'm not going to rob him. He said, well, I said, if you bloody don't, you're going to wreck it for all of us, you see. Anyhow, we convinced him to be in it with us, you know. Well, then he went to the coal afterwards, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
But the detective, the police was always at Walsh to sack him.
Yeah.
Why? Was he a habitual criminal, was he?
Both of him and his brother was. Well, his brother got a job on the ferries, but he never stopped for long. What was his brother's name? Alf, wasn't it? Alf Moaner.
Yeah. But there doesn't seem to have been, from what I can hear anyway, there doesn't seem to have been in Melbourne the same sort of tough foreman, knockdown type foreman, you know, with their gang of crawlers, you know, following him around like there was in Sydney. It seems to be more based on where you lived.
They used to make it pretty tough for us on the job. They protested about conditions and that. The foreman and their mob would gang up on you, wouldn't they?
Well, the likes of Lucevich at the iron boats. If you was a militant, you didn't get a job.
Is that so?
See, and they done it more scientifically.
Did they?
Oh yes, like there was a lot of, and then there was other people that would sooner have the militants working for them than anyone, because they knew that the militants would give them a good day, and they knew that, like the criminal people used to stand over the foreman.
Yeah.
And it applied in the finish that you know, the criminal element, when they went to work, there'd be 2 or 3 missing, wouldn't they, Tom? And if the foreman said anything, they'd have a go at him. But they knew that the militants, when they went there, well, you take gang 100, and all the militant gangs, they were some of the best gangs on the waterfront, wasn't they? Oh. And yet some of the other fellas that used to, you know, be a bit weak, and the like, what was that little, that joker that used to punch you the bikes for Howden? Toby. Oh. Look at all them class of people.
Yeah, well, I was talking to Dudgy, and he was saying that you know, there were sort of well-known Millers Point gangs of tough,
Yeah.
and they'd be foremen, and they'd have their toadies, you know, and if the job was finished 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you were trying to leave a bit early or something, one of them would stand, you know, one of their toadies would stand there and stop you going off. And something also, if you'd say, look at that bloody bastard, I'll have to punch him in the nose, you touch him and you'll have me to deal with. You know, they'd have their own gang of stand-over men to
Jack Morrison, you know, he was gardening out of the college or somewhere he was gardening.
Caulfield Grammar.
Yeah, and Joe Braddock had been there to this place, and he's walking out the place, and John Morrison said to him, "G'day, Mr. Braddock," because he was the chairman of the ASI, the first original chairman. So they had a discussion about he said, you don't know me. He said, I know you. And he said, I was on the waterfront. And then he mentioned who he was. Oh, yes, and Braddock got talking to him. And then the question come up. Braddock made this statement to Jack Morrison. He said, I always, when there was trouble on the waterfront, I'd ask first who was the delegate. He said, if it was a communist delegate, he said, I know it was Mayor Dickham. He said, what gangs was there? If it was communist gangs, he said, and I know them all. He said, if it was a communist gang, I know, well, if they'd stopped work, there was a reason for it wasn't a frivolous one. And I think that was a general feeling
amongst the waterfront.
Right through the waterfront, wasn't it? They knew that we could do our job. We'd done our job, and if we stopped, it was on a matter of something that really was happening that shouldn't be happening.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't a privilege, wasn't it?
No, but I got everybody, like Frankie Bates and you and myself. The militants could have had a fight every day by disciplining the members up, and they wanted to fight you. But we didn't take no notice of them. We just went along because we knew we had the backing of the union behind us. But today, as I say, at the executive meeting, I think they adjourned it. But you know what the adjournment in the executive, that's the finish of it. Now, Freddie Brock, if you get hold of Freddie, he'll tell you what it's like, and I know what it's like when I work there. Like even on receiving with 5 men, they got no hooks. They don't intend to get hooks.
Hey, listen, excuse me, hooks reminded me. Remember you said you got Healy's hook. What does that mean?
Well, when Healy left the waterfront to become General Secretary, he gave his hook to Charlie Horton. You know, the little sugar hooks?
I know what a hook is.
Yeah, well, there's 2 kind of hooks. There's a long hook and I had what they call a sugar hook, because if you had a long hook, you'd have to reach up too high. So Charlie come here for years, like when Jim went, he worked over there for about another 2 years, then he come to Melbourne, brought his wife to Melbourne. And I used to go out and see him. He had a flat in South Yarra. And he said to me, I got something, he said, that I wanted. that I want, and I know you'll look after it. So I said, what is it? And I went out his flat. He said, here's Jim Healy's hook.
You still got it?
No.
What'd you do with it?
Well, it was no good of me keeping it because I was getting old, and I said to Jeff Swain, I've got Healy's hook at home, and I give it to Jeff. And I said, look, the best thing to do is to send it up to the Federal Council for them to do something with it. Well, Jeff must have had it in his drawer for about 6 months. And I said to Jeff, have you done anything about Healy's hook? He said, no. I said, oh, give us it. So who did I see? The secretary of the Sydney branch.
Isn't that Healy? Isn't that
no,
young Healy?
No, he's only president. He come down here for a job delegates conference.
The one was just resigned?
Yeah, Bolger.
Bolger.
Yeah.
And I told him, he said, look, we'd appreciate that. Well, I got it, and I give it to Lou Elliott when he went to the Federal Council. I said, will you see Bolger and tell him this is a hook? Well, today it's hanging under Jim Healy's photo.
Oh, good. We'll get a picture of it.
In the federal office.
You know, we're putting...
it wouldn't be Tom. They'd say, oh, you were the bloody shitty trousers. Yeah. Or you were the bloody...
There was worse. There was more contempt between the former workers than there was in Melbourne. Now, why was that? Was the Sydney Wharfies weren't so militant, or it was just part of the tradition? Or?
They wasn't as militant as Melbourne.
No, that's right. One wouldn't talk to you like that, would they?
No, they wasn't. Melbourne was always a better militant port.
Sydney, of course,
even
was
today,
always more unemployment.
Any Wharfie will come here and tell you that Melbourne's got the best conditions of any port in Australia. And Brisbane's,
It's still the most militant port.
Of course they are. And
rather interesting thing about the new agreement was just being, there was a majority for the new agreement in every state bar this one.
Yeah.
It wasn't good enough for you.
No. Wasn't good enough for the Wharfies.
It was 1,100 to 1,000 here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And you vote on agreements in the same way as the coal miners did in that film we saw.
The most respected man I expect on the waterfront as far as supervisors, foremen or anybody was concerned was Charlie Young, wasn't he?
Yes. Oh, you know, he respected the... No.
Jim Saunders was the real leader in the militants here. When did he die?
About 5 years ago.
No, I missed him.
Is it more than that?
Everything's always longer than you think, isn't it?
Yes.
Did he die young?
He killed himself up in Cairns, actually.
He bought a boat.
He bought a boat and he had a block of land up there and he's trying to clear the block of land. He's overworked, killing himself.
Oh, he gave up the wharf?
No, he's still on the wharf as well. But he ran into trouble over, again, a question of principle. He ran into trouble. I don't know whether we should put it on record. Not work of a Sunday.
I've got this on.
Back on the waterfront.
Now listen, I'm sorry to drag you boys back to where you don't want to go. But tell me, talking about safety reminds me, did you have safety officers? When did safety officers come in? Was that
only during the war.
Oh, I see, you never had them say in the 20s and 30s. Now, look, how did you look after yourself in the 20s? Was there any, for instance, when you were at Coley, were there accidents?
Oh yes, there's plenty of accidents.
Tell us the sort of accidents and about any particular one you remember.
Basket coming off the hook.
Loaded. You mean with coal in it?
No, unloaded. You know, they'd kick it on the side. It'd come off. There was when they got the run on, the coal had run and they couldn't stop it.
What do you mean by that?
Nearly get. Well, they used to. What they used to do, they used to work in the corners. Yeah. And they'd go to the skin, what they call the skin, because the moment they got to the skin, they just put the basket up and just shoveled it down so it could run into the basket and the basket tip up itself.
So they dig a sort of a hole in the middle to get down to the floor.
On the side.
On the side, and let the coal run in.
Run in,
I
see?
get.
And this is what they always taught you, that if you ever dug down to go to the skin as quick as you can.
That's the floor, is it?
Well, sometimes the basket would be out and there'd be a
the
rock.
artist work first.
Yeah, and the rock would go on and the coal would run and they couldn't stop it.
What, the boat would rock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the coal would start running and they couldn't stop it.
And you might be down the bottom?
Oh, you would be on the bottom.
Because that's where you'd be doing your work.
And the coal would run all over it.
Many that.
What about lumps of coal coming off the basket?
Oh yeah, you know, if they filled them, sometimes the foreman say, hey, fill them up a bit, top them up a bit, and sometimes a bit would fall off. Now, I remember, I forget his name, the hook come down, and I think, Podgy Kerr, he let the hook go, and the Wharfie let the hook go and hit him there, and he just dropped it and smashed his skull.
How do you mean let it
Well,
go?
he unhooked his basket and he left the hook go.
One man in that corner, one there, one there, one there.
And he pushed the hook over.
He's got the hook, you see. He's unhooked there and he's let it go and it swings over.
Oh.
And it swings over, and this fella turned around and he missed it, and it hit him there and smashed his skull in. And he just dropped dead and that. And that was done up in about 3 North.
Podgy Kerr.
Yeah.
Well, that was Podgy Kerr was killed.
Yeah.
And when
No, not Podgy
Not
Kerr.
Podgy Kerr let the hook go.
Oh, I see.
And this other fellow.
Well, that would be likely to happen any time.
Oh, yes.
Because the hook would have tension on it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You don't throw the hook back, it's pulled back.
Yeah, well, it comes out of the plumb of the hook, see?
I
Well,
see.
If
And
you're
if
in
it's
that
one-
corner,
yeah.
and instead of walking to the
you
plumb of the hatch and letting it go.
Are you supposed to walk to the plumb of the hatch and let the hook go, are you?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the details of McQueen's investigation of the waterfront for the high accident rate and low health standard of the waterfront? Remember McQueen?
That was in your book, wasn't it? And that thing you lent me, that girl did with you. Did you
Yes.
put that? You mentioned it, yes. When was it? During
Remember
the
when
war?
McQueen came here?
Yeah, that's right.
That was in the 40s, wasn't it?
Yeah, early 40s.
And they found
Early
all terrible
40s.
tuberculosis in there, didn't they?
Tuberculosis, and it was because of freezers and things like that.
Did you know? I didn't
And the
know,
accident
yeah.
rate was one of the most highest in any industry was on the waterfront, wasn't
Did
it?
you know that Stan Moran told me he was the man in the Waterside Federation, but he kept on at the Federation who brought in compulsory chest x-rays. You know, he said he just kept on nagging at the Federation for years, and the Federation weren't in favour because they said, well, what will happen if they find the blokes have got tuberculosis, they'll have to go to hospital. And he said, well, look, they're giving us all tuberculosis. But you know, I never realised it was one thing the left were totally responsible for.
But even this Dr. Butcher that was up there then. Now, I had a talk to him one day, like a lot of people didn't, and he was a fella that, you know, if you wanted to talk to him, he'd talk to you. And he told me that if he was to carry out 100% medical examination, that there'd only be about 18 or 19% men fit to work on the water.
And when was this?
This is late years. Since he come there. Since when did Butcher go down there? About 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Oh, easy that.
And they
Yeah.
were still, and there was more food. Was that unhealthy then?
Yeah.
After
Now-
all those years, Tom.
Yes, but he explained it to me this way. He said, look, he said, how can you expect men that's worked shift work be medically fit when in the conscription campaign, that when the young people come up to get medical examination, he said the percentage of young fellas that was unfit was you've got no idea what it was like.
Incredible, wasn't it? Yeah, well now what did you do in those old days? Now, so that bloke had got his head bashed in. Compensation?
Yeah, he got compensated.
What would you get? Was it, I suppose it was...
Oh.
Low in them days.
It was shocking. See, in them days,
About £2.10 a week would
Week.
be the wage, wouldn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you could put that in proportion to a debt, to get 2,000 would be a fortune.
Oh, well, they wouldn't get 2,000.
No, that was about 1,500 or something like that.
See, and this is all they got.
And if you were off with injuries, you got comp over it, you know.
Yes.
Yes.
But still, that'd only be very low.
Yes,
It wouldn't be
but-
what you earned.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but don't forget that if you was off on compo and you was getting compensation, say you were getting compensation off the United, you would have to go to their doctor, and their doctor was ready. He'd say, well, you're fit to go back to work, wouldn't he?
And you couldn't do nothing
Yep.
else.
And then you couldn't do nothing about it. Like, I remember bags, you know, down here. He was in the United for years on compensation playing the
What was that fella, Austin, wasn't it?
Austin, he was president of the Scabs.
Yeah, but he didn't he go up to the work for the United in the finish and do the compensation?
Yeah. I went in there one day after I was on compensation, and it was 10 o'clock, you know, and this Austin was a scab, he was one of the original 28 scabs. I think he was president of the union, and he also had a security docket, and he dropped it in the hole one day out of his pocket, and we sprung him as a security man.
What, ASIO type?
Yeah, ASIO type. Anyhow, I went into the United Hospital office up here, that big office, remember, where all the staff used to be one day, and he said, I had to go up for compensation. He said, this is a nice time to come. I said, why? He said, well, it's just our morning tea time. He said, you Wharfies have smokos. He said, don't you think we're entitled to a smoko? So I said to him, you didn't think, I didn't say it loudly, I just said to him quietly, you didn't think of that in 1928, you didn't want a bloody smoko then? He said, what did you say? I said, didn't you hear me? He said, no. Well, I said, I'll let everybody hear. So I just bellowed out, I said you wasn't concerned about a bloody smoko in 1928 when you scabbed. Get out of this office. Well, of course, every time I went there, he said, you go and see our doctor, you know. I want you to see our doctor, because he knew as soon as I hit their doctor that I was off.
Oh, yes.
So I used to say to you, go and you got my bloody doctor's report, you ring up him and ask him, and I wouldn't go. I refused to go. And under the insurance scheme, you didn't have to go to their doctor. But a lot of them didn't know that, and you couldn't convince them. They used to trick them. Well, that was the type of thing that you struck with compensation. So if a fellow was a bit weak and he didn't know his rights and that, well, they'd get him back to work long before he was fit to go back to work.
What medical, for instance, now when that guy, or say you were injured, what did they do? I mean, did they have ambulances?
No.
I mean, what sort of medical aid did they have on the wharf?
Oh, well, you looked after yourself and your mates looked after you. They had no ambulance there.
The campaign for first aid on the waterfront started in Sydney, didn't it?
That's right.
When about?
Yeah.
That was a wartime measure.
You
Again.
know, all these things never came into a bloody war.
No, 42
And
or
it's
something
saying,
like that.
now say if you were injured, would you, say if a bloke when your gang was injured, we're going back to when you were in Melbourne before you went to Sydney, would you, for instance, would the work stop there until they
Oh no, get him out the hole. As long as you got him out the hole and put him, they'd either ring up the civil ambulance or somebody would get
Put him in the wings
until they come down.
You go on working?
Yeah.
Don't stop the York.
Oh no, in them days. Like it's different. The working conditions are different now to what they was in the olden days. Look, it's different from chalk to cheese. You could, like, a lot of fellas wanted to be militant, but their economic circumstances with their wives and families and that forced them to do things that they didn't want to do. And if they did kick over the traces, they know they lost their corner. So you take Patrick's for instance. Now, one time I got a job at Patrick's. I think it was about 5 North, and I got sent down below with them, and they put me working under the hook to slow me up. And soon as you went down, they looked at you. You're supposed to be all, mates. And this is what I say, your mate become your worst enemy. It was bugger you, Jack, I'm all right. Now, the moment you went down, they said, they'd try and kid you and say, how did you get a job, with the Patricks? And they say, well, bugger you, you're not going to take my job. And this was the attitude towards the stranger that went down below. Because they knew that if they lost that if you took their job, they didn't have what they called a corner.
If you were better than they were, or...
Yes, yes. And this is why people knew that it was wrong but was frightened to say anything.
When was this?
This is from 23 and in the 30s and all.
What are you going to tell me, John?
Take that as a ship's off
Yeah, that's the floor.
That's the floor, and you're going to start loading.
Yes.
Now, if you was not a regular with a company, this is at Ollieman's, there's the line down the centre. They'd make the line themselves down the centre.
Yeah.
The regulars would work over that side stowing, you'd work over that side. If you put a bit of cargo over that side, there'd be a blue one with them.
Why?
Well, because of this animosity that he's just talking about.
To newcomers.
To newcomers. So
this was with the number one gangs in the pink.
Number one gang, and you'd probably get you'd probably got a job there because somebody didn't turn up with a shortage of labour.
But they didn't want you to bloody well be muscling in on their permanent.
Then you might get a job in Ollieman's because there wasn't sufficient labour, and it picked up Thursday, and the boat was working Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And you used to work till 11 o'clock Saturday night at Ollieman's. Well, the gangs that was working at Howard Smith's regulars, they could have been working at Howard Smith's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, finished Friday sometime, and they say to the VO, there's men working all day Saturday, union men working all day Saturday at Ollieman's. We want them removed so we can take that day's job off the second preferences. Yeah. And this was the type of thing that went on.
So you were totally bloody divided up into all sorts of little...
So they were on the top, they were the Federation with the number one, the seconds was the number two, and the blanks was treated the same way by the seconds as what the bloody Federation treated the seconds.
Real pecking order.
Yeah.
The peck order.
You kept to your own order.
That's right.
And if anybody got a job like he said, there'd be inquiries how you got that job. How did he get here?
How was he muscling in?
He must have slung, or he must...
Yeah, slung for a job. Or Patrick's was full of masons, freemasons. And there was a fellow at Patrick's, what was his name? He fronted up and the court, she stood him for maintenance. Lived there in Cheltenham.
Doesn't matter.
You'd know him. When you joined the Mason, he'd join you up in the Mason Lodge. You'd give him so much money to get you into the lodge.
And the VO was a Mason.
Yes, and then you'd go to Patrick's, and Patrick's was full of Masons, and they had to give you a job because he was the head man.
Head man.
Oh,
was he a Wharfie or?
No, he was a supervisor for Patrick's. He used to live there in the
Christ under the bracket, man. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Well, this is how it went on. See, so well, give me, 150 or 70 quid and I'll get you
as much as that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Quite big money.
Because if you got a job with Patrick's, well, you'd average somewhere about 10 a week.
Yeah, now how come that there wasn't more pressure on, or was there, in the 20s then? Because from what I hear, the 20s, what's his name, Dutchy Young said to me the 20s was a terrible period. He said in the war, the 30s was just worse, How come there wasn't more militancy?
There were soldiers.
Because this was a question of union organisation. We couldn't get in there.
See, the union
even in the 20s? You weren't in the union though in the 20s, were you? But
the union was corrupt.
See, what I meant when we couldn't get into office in the union.
I see what you mean. Yes.
See, the
union was corrupt.
Oh yes, like Louis Connors. The only good thing he done to me, Louis Connors, was this: that when I come back here, my brother said to me, they didn't work on the wharf; they wouldn't work with scab. And they pulled out.
And this is in the 30s.
Yeah, and this is when my brother Freddie went to the sea, and my brother, my eldest brother, was on the coal for years. He wouldn't go down. So I don't know who it was in the early 40s approached Bluey Connell, and they wanted men on the waterfront. And Bluey, we went down and see him, and when you hung your button up, when you got a job, you had to pay all the previous years. So.
Oh, I see. You had to, if you hadn't been being a Wharfie for 5 years, you got to pay your fees.
Oh yeah, like that's
I see,
the
yeah.
privilege
That's
of
the
hanging your
rule.
button up.
Yes, I see.
And he said, there must have been about 10. We walked in and Louis said, well, we want men on the waterfront, but you won't have to go before a meeting. We'll continue it on as old members, but we won't leave your buttons in Sydney. He said to me, leave it there because it won't be there now. And he said, it's too much money to pay back. He said, so just, well, we'll go down the compound and get a number and start work. And Bluey expected a bit of a kickback. Because he said to me one day, you've had 2 or 3 pays, you know. I said, well, you're not bloody well going to get anything, I'll tell you that. Now and then I'd sooner walk off the waterfront again. But this is what he was doing.
Yeah,
See, he was looking after his corner.
Would he be Jimmy Smith's uncle or something?
No.
Jim Smith's uncle was
Jimmy Smith's uncle was Mullins.
Mullins, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He got him a job on the waterfront. Yeah, I see.
And this is how Bluey put a lot of members that hung their buttons up and old members that come down.
Hey, listen,
Not all of them.
No.
They was taken straight to the boat, off the boat to the compound, signed up on the boat, taken to the compound.
So?
By the time they realised what happened to them, it was too late.
Yeah. See, the fella, for a few weeks here, they couldn't get no scabs.
That's right.
Now, the chap, there was a foreman for the Adelaide company. Now, there was a chap, he was a soldier, and of course the soldier could come down and join the Federation on preference to soldiers. See, that was almost a government law.
Yeah.
Now, this chap used to work up where they used to pick up the casual labour for the railways. They still pick them up, you'll still see them there, won't you, Tom?
Bloody
Well,
awful place.
Eh?
Bloody awful place.
Yes, it is.
Down at Dinan Road, is it?
No, it's up in
Spencer
Spencer
Street.
Street.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this foreman, when the strike was on, after it'd been on about a couple of weeks, this chap was a pretty staunch fella too. Like he'd been in, jail and knocked around with some of the, well-known people of Melbourne, like Cutmore and all them people. And he used to go up the railway to dodge the vag. See, they used to vag in them days. And he went up, used to go up every now, pretty well. And when he got up there, this foreman from the waterfront's got about 10 of his pink eyes there. And the fella come out to pick him up, and he picked up all the pink eyes in the Wharfie foreman. And this fella turned around and said to the foreman, which he knew, he said, God, strike me dead. He said, you're on strike. He said, and you've come up and taken our jobs. And the foreman said, I can't be worried about that. Well, this fellow got on the stump down there and he said, look, they've taken our jobs. Who wants to volunteer with me, and we'd go down and take their bloody jobs. Now, there was 22 people out of the casual railways, was the core of the scab organisation on the water. Now, if he would have kept away, there might have never have gone to the length of what it's gone.
Yeah.
But he caused it.
Yeah, this is it was very interesting. I've just been reading mostly the Adelaide papers, but the Melbourne papers too, about the strike. And it was very interesting that, a lot of railway men and then got sacked because they wouldn't deliver stuff to the scabs. And also, and they they never got put back either, they just got sacked.
Well, there's a fella comes into the bookshop every Friday, a fella named O'Leary. He was an IWW man. And he worked on the waterfront, and now you've mentioned it, like, oh, I know, he was telling me all about it. Oh, he's an elderly fella.
Your age?
Oh, yes.
And
But
was he a Wharfie? Or
Yes.
And was he sacked in the strike?
Yes, and he told me about these railway men, how they wouldn't bring stuff to the wharf or do goods to the wharf or take it away, and
Terrible, all of them got sacked.
yes, and I can, like He was in on Friday. He comes in
Does
every
he come in regularly?
Yes.
I'd be pleased if you get me his name and address or phone number. I'd like to get in touch with him because obviously this is going to go on. You know.
Yes, well,
As soon as I got this damn book,
he lives in a bungalow in a place out in Kew.
Well, I'd be most obliged if you put me in touch with him. I'll give you.
He could tell you all about the IWW and the work on the waterfront, you know.
Isn't he? You
He'd be
doing
good.
it?
Yes. Oh,
Do I
really?
know him?
You may, Tom.
Melbourne Wharfie?
No, an Adelaide one.
Oh, Adelaide Wharfie. Oh, well, that'd be good.
That'd be good, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was very interesting because Adelaide, it was pretty famous in Adelaide, so, you know. So
Well, he told me on Friday that they was that much and didn't, like, off the line, that they was anarchists.
Mm.
And they pinched some dynamite was going to blow a bridge up.
That's right, someone else told me that.
Yeah.
You had a few anarchists in Melbourne, didn't you?
Yeah, well,
Right.
he said that if we would have had the knowledge
Lovely
now on the
Lowenstein.
teachings,
Yeah.
we would have got further advanced. But he said we was
Just anarchists.
anarchists. He said we didn't know where we was going or what we was doing, as long as we done all these things, you know.
Like Lofty Lamson and people like
Yeah.
that, you know.
Talk about you got to be careful what you bloody. Now look, what else? When you came back from Sydney, did you come on the wharf again?
No,
What
I
did you do?
went into the Billings Road.
Ah, you see now what? So your period on the wharf was from when? When did you start the wharf? 23.
23.
And when did you go to on the wharf in Sydney till?
I got to Sydney about 1927, I think.
Stayed on the wharf how long?
I stopped between on
Sydney
the
Wharf.
Dole and the wharf. I stopped there until about 1932.
And then you went into the building trade.
No, I
Because
went to
the
Perth.
building trade collapsed. I was going to say.
No, well, I got a job on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Did you?
Mm.
Yeah.
And that finished, then I went to Perth.
I see. And when did you come back on the wharf then?
I come back on the wharf in the early just after 1939 or 40.
Oh, so you went back during the war.
Yeah.
Now listen, Tom, did we decide to stop this book before the war or after the bloody war? I've forgotten. It was the gang system we thought was.
Started with the gangs.
Yeah, I think we finished it with the gang system
Yeah.
because you know that'd be. Now when was that? During the middle of the war?
No, 42, wasn't it?
42. Well, I think that'd be a good time to stop it.
Yeah.
So you could do the early part. Well, I suppose when you came back, was there much difference on the waterfront when you came back? 39, 30, 40? Or haven't things changed much?
No, there was a different class of men, like Tom, Tom's seen this, like, there was still hungry men here that'd do anything for a quid, like, they'd sit there and they'd put up day work and there'd be about 20 go day work, wouldn't they, Tom? And they'd all be sitting there waiting for night work, wouldn't they?
Laying off for night work.
Night work.
There was plenty of war. They could be choosy.
Yes.
The work started to come.
And it was more money, and it wasn't the night work that was after the more money. And
it was
this
an
is
economic situation.
yes,
really.
economics.
Once they had a bit of a
They've
choice.
had so many years
of-
leanness that it was a natural reaction, I'd say, against the ship owner. Well, now the bastards, it's coming our way now,
Yes.
and
We'll dictate our term.
we'll dictate our terms.
And this is when Ely come down here and
Which
formed
give
the
Ely a
gang
problem.
system. I remember him having a meeting. He said, all men with preferences into the union. Remember, Tom? He ordered all men into the union.
What do
but,
you mean with preferences?
Well, first and second preference.
Preferences that
See?
sold into the union.
And what were they before? Weren't they in the union?
No,
What were they doing then?
they had a government licence.
Was this the scabs?
No,
No,
This is another one. Oh, that's what I
this is
didn't
the second
understand.
preference.
this is the first and second preferences.
This is
And
when
you-
you would have lectured in the Federation.
Actually, some of the smarties that we talked about on the waterfront, the Martins and people like that, and probably, I don't know, Arthur could have been in this, but they were calling meetings at the old Savoy Theatre in Russell Street in an attempt to form yet another union on the waterfront.
That's Sterling Davis.
And Sterling Davis and all them. And this union was to be the second preference
Union.
and they were going to take the blanks in. So that would have meant that there was a federation, a second preference union and the P&C. Terry Dean, who was in the federation, and I and others went up there
To the Savoy.
speaking against this, opposing it. Because we
You were in the Federation by this time?
No, I was in
You
the
were a second
P&C.
preference?
Yeah, I was a second preference. And we used to go up there, but these bastards wasn't doing it for the purpose of bettering a lot of the second preference. They were doing it, and even some of them even paid their
10 bob.
10 bob
To
union
Shirley Davis.
to Shirley Davis, and they were sticking it in their kit. It was just a racket going on with the gangsters.
He got about 300 or 400 members, not only...
Oh, I thought perhaps they were trying to stop Healy from...
No,
it wasn't
no.
political, they were just trying to
they
run a
were
little
just
racket.
a racketeer.
A guard.
And they were going to look after
Yeah.
them in a gunman sort of a fashion,
Yeah.
no protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It couldn't possibly have worked out in any sense.
No, but
I see.
Shirley Davis and
Just a racket.
a lot of these...
Why was Terry Dean against? Because he was a crook, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Terry Dean was a supporter of the
A
military.
union crook.
Oh yeah, but he was all right. But a lot of these,
Tell him how
fellas
he's going
with
to go
the-
and shoot
yeah, with the first and second preferences, they joined the P&C. And they joined the P&C that if they didn't get into the Federation, they would have gone and worked with the P&C. Now, how we found out that Pittman, when he resigned out of the P&C, he showed us all the book. And all the fellas with the red marks on it was fellas that paid their £half to join the P&C. But when Ely came down and ordered them all into the Federation, they left him and went into the Federation. And that's what he said. He said, the great majority of fellas with the P&C was in my union. And Ely said to him, what proof you got? And he showed Ely the...
Pittman.
Remember Pittman? The
Yeah.
big bloke.
Big bloke,
Yes, well, because up to that time they wouldn't take them into the Federation. The Federation's books were closed. You couldn't be in the Federation, could
No,
you?
but it was only through Healy
Yeah.
that ordered all men that had...
What Tom was saying.
Well, Terry was pretty sick in bed, and there was a fellow on the waterfront named Bill Howden, or Mongrel, and when the doctor told Terry he hadn't got long to live, one morning they went into his bedroom and he's missing. And he got up and he put a dressing gown on, and they picked him up just going over Spencer Street Bridge with a gun in his pocket. He was going down to shoot out, and he said, if I go, you bloody well coming with me.
Who was he? Who was his Howden?
Oh, no good. Oh, a filthy, reactionary thing that...
Tell Wendy what his job was, how he was able to contact the Wharfies.
Oh,